Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Ashley Mailloux, kicking off a $1 pick six at Santa Anita on Saturday with race number 4. It's the Cal Cup Derby. Calbred are sired 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. We take a look at this field. It's only a field of 5, but it's a pretty competitive group of 5. Last Call London and Stolen Treasure neck apart in the King Glorious Stakes last time out. Wild Jewels is coming in on a 3-race win streak. This is a pretty solid group.
I can't remember, Dan, but I think the King Glorious is a video I did with Mike Beer, and we talked about the field, which we're going to have 4 runners that come from that race. And it was wide open. No one really stood out on paper, and you're getting a similar thing in this field. The only difference is Wild Jewels is maybe the wild card in this spot. Coming out of those races out of Golden Gate, it's been a while since we've seen this one on the dirt. So you're getting basically the same thing that you got in the King Glorious. As you said, it's a wide open event where no one is really a standout.
Now, there wasn't a lot of pace in the King Glorious. Stolen Treasure, Last Call London, they controlled things throughout. We'll take a look at our Timeform US pace projector. And as you mentioned, the wild card in here is Wild Jewels, not only because the horse has shown a lot of ability on dirt and synthetic in Calbred Stakes competition, but also because he's got some speed.
Yes, and he's been really forward in those last 2, and finally last time out stretched out to a mile and still was quite forward, which sometimes doesn't translate, or if horses are speedy, they go to the front, they burn out. I actually think this horse raced very, very well at a mile for the first time, but the big question will be the dirt, and I think on paper, Stolen Treasure, probably the pace on paper. I mean, maybe there's a couple other horses that could be forward as well, but just seeing what he was able to do in the King Glorious, he was forward in that event and almost got the job done.
Let's start things off by taking a look at the number 1, Last Call London. He beat 3 of these in the King Glorious, and he looked pretty strong doing it. The pace wasn't fast. They got right up close to Stolen Treasure, who was on the inside. There's not a lot of closing going on. These two really throw it down the last 3/16 of a mile, and Last Call London was simply better.
And for a mile race, we always have to remember Los Al, that stretch run is grueling on horses. It's just so long. And I think maybe that played to the advantage of Last Call London, where it plays to the disadvantage of Stolen Treasure. Both horses race very well, but Last Call London was just able to grind it out just a little bit better in those final stages. And you have to think, can he do the same thing now going to a mile and a 16th? The possibility is certainly there. And the one thing that I do like about Last Call London a lot is just the fact that he can be forward and be tactical enough to be put into the race early and still, at least hang around.
I'm not sure I want to completely sleep on the number 2, Mes Express. This horse has done some good things in his career, and he's getting blinkers for the first time, maybe to try to infuse some early speed because he doesn't have much right now. Now, if you believe the pace was slow and the closers were compromised last time out in the King Glorious, then Mes Express, the beaten favorite, has a ready-made excuse.
Broke my heart last time. I was expecting a way better performance just looking at his running style, and maybe I read into it too much, whereas sprint race is always making up ground. He wants more ground. That's not always the case. We talk about this all the time, Dan, and he was just flat to me. Now, I do agree that the equipment change is probably intriguing. Blinkers have been something they haven't tried at all up until this point, and maybe that will get him at least a bit more forward, and even if he is making up some ground at that point, at least he'll be put into the race earlier. So I agree. I think he's a horse that maybe he's broken my heart too many times, and I'm going to maybe shy away from him here, but I wouldn't sleep on him as well just because of the equipment change, and he's shown potential in the past.
Stolen Treasure, the number 3, has really picked up his game since being stretched out around 2 turns. A win at Del Mar, followed by that good performance in the King Glorious. We have seen turf horses run well at Los Alamitos in the past. Really no excuses. He got to the lead. He backed down the fractions. Last Call London just wore him down late. Maybe the long stretch, though, worked against him. And this time at Santa Anita, kind of a more conventional track. If they leave him alone, he can sprint on home.
Absolutely. I think he could be dangerous on the lead in here. And I still think the race at Los Al, he raced very, very well after studying the fractions. And prior to that, yes, he got a turf win at a mile, but he has something that a lot of horses don't have, consecutive 2-turn races. And I think that's going to be key now, stretching out to a mile and a 16th on the dirt. I think this track configuration, as you mentioned, probably plays better to him as well. So he's got a big shot in this spot off his last 2.
Gentleman's Club is the number 4. Now, the only win came against maiden claiming competition. He was an also-ran in the King Glorious. Maybe the pace worked against him, but if I wanted to take a closer out of the King Glorious, it might be Mes Express. Gentleman's Club, to me, just has too much to prove stepping up into this level.
He does, and I think you go down the page, 3 and 4 starts back when he was able to graduate first off. He got the pace help that he needed, and it was sprinting. And then I thought actually his first time facing winners was pretty good, and he was closer to the pace, but just still wasn't able to get the job done. Still made up some ground, but his last two since getting back on the dirt, I haven't loved those performances. Had he shown more, been able to close harder in those spots, I might have used him, but I just have reservations, especially at the mile and a 16th. Will he have too much work to do late? I have a feeling that's going to be the case.
While Jules was a debut winner on the California Fair circuit on dirt, but he has just gotten really good on the all-weather at Golden Gate. 3 consecutive victories, stretched out to a mile last time out in the Gold Rush Stakes. Odds on to win this race, had to work to do so, which makes me wonder a little bit if more distance is going to be Wild Jules' friend. His one prior start in Southern California was the Graduation, finished behind a couple of these, but maybe a wide trip compromised his performance that day.
To me, Wild Jules is the wild card because I have this battle with myself. Is he getting good at the right time, or is he really taken to the surface at Golden Gate? And I guess we won't find out until this race. I still think, based on his performances, his figures fit this race if he can translate that form to the dirt. And we can't forget, he did graduate on the dirt. It was on his debut. His next start, he actually raced well. He only has that one bad race, which was at Del Mar. So we'll see what he can do. If I had a little bit more guts, I'd probably use him as my top pick in this spot. But it's one of those things. Do you use him, or do you take a wait and see approach just because you're not sure about the dirt?
Well, let's take a look at our top picks for the first leg of the dollar pick six on Cal Cup Saturday at Santa Anita. Last Call London, why not? Just beat most of these last time out and has the tactical speed to work out any kind of a trip. It was nice to see him succeed around 2 turns and prove that's not an obstacle.
Yeah, and I think it was a big improvement too after he bounced in the race at Santa Anita. He really didn't show too much in that spot, and it's not like he went off as a long shot. He wasn't a bomb in the field. He took a little bit of respect there, but I think you look at him, he wasn't as forward out of the gate as he should have been. And I think he had things going against him. So I like that he rebounded. Excited to see him go a mile and a 16th. I think looking at his stretch run at Los Al, that was impressive. Maybe he can translate it here to Santa Anita.
Last Call London, I think, is the horse to beat. Stolen Treasure came close last time out. And I think there's a chance Stolen Treasure might be the third choice in this race. Maybe Wild Jules and Last Call London battle for favoritism. So I'm thinking Stolen Treasure might offer a little bit of value and could be on the lead turning for home. 1532 for Ashley, 3152 for me. Cal Cup Derby on Cal Cup Saturday at Santa Anita. Good luck.